Hi, I'm Nancy Rogers, and I am the professor for your course Women in Business. This is an ASAP course. It is a weekend college course, and of course we're not meeting until August 8th, but many of you have a lot of questions and you have a lot of work to do before we meet. Hopefully you'll find some of the work that we do very interesting. So I'm going to, based on your emails, try to answer some of your questions about the syllabus that we have posted on Blackboard. Now there's several things that you need to do before we meet. Now the first thing that's due at the end of this week, June 29th, is your introduction. And that's really meant to be more of a fun thing, a way for me to be able to contact you and to know a little bit more about who's in this class. The second thing is reflections on your readings. And all these readings need to be done before our first class meeting on August 8th. And for each reading, you will complete a reflection. And there are 4 questions for the chapter reflections. And the chapters come from this text, Women in Work. They're very short chapters. It's a very easy read. People like this book. It's filled with information. And you will be completing chapter reflections on those, on all the assigned ones. And we're covering every chapter except for chapter 7 and 10. And then there are article reflections. There are about 5 or 6 articles that we're looking at, and these are more feminist-oriented articles. So this will talk about how workplaces may be gendered, if you will. So there are 3 questions for that. And you will bring these to class before we meet, and there are instructions about how to prepare those in Blackboard. The next question you ask about is the presentation. In the presentation, I basically say you have 2 types of presentations. You're going to do one, and you get to choose what you want to do. Now, the first presentation type is on a topic. So one of the most interesting topics that I heard last quarter was about doing business abroad, women in the international arena. So if you were a student who's very interested in doing work perhaps in South America, you might be interested in researching what kinds of challenges or opportunities are available or will present themselves to women in South America. And it would be no more than 10 minutes, probably 10 PowerPoint slides. It could be any kind of material. You could do handouts if you'd like, but something that the class could follow because you will be evaluated on this. You could also do women in hospital administration if you were interested in pursuing a career in hospital administration. So we're looking at, those are the kinds of things that you might be interested in looking at topic-wise. Now, if you wanted to do a book report, a suggestion is go to some place like Amazon.com, do a search on women in business, and look at all of the sort of self-help information books that there are out there on how to negotiate, how to communicate effectively. I've listed some titles in the syllabus that might be interesting. And what you would do is you would get that book, read that book, present the highlights, tell the class if you found the book worthwhile, and what you learned from it. What do you think is usable? So those are basically, that's the presentation types that you will be doing. Again, no more than 10 minutes. We will be presenting throughout the weekend, and these are usually pretty enjoyable. They're fun. I will also I will be distributing a list so that there will be no duplication. So look for that in Blackboard over the next few days. The last part is about the interviews, and this is a multi-step process. So the first thing you need to do, which is due before July 5th, is look at the questions that I have provided. I have provided about 14 questions that I have used on a women's interview and 12 questions that I have used on a men's interview. And I want you to select your favorites by using the survey that's provided. If you have another question that you're interested in proposing for our interview, then enter that in the space provided. So that should be pretty self-explanatory. Then what I'm going to do is compile the interview questions, and I will give to you a survey that you will email to 3 women in business and 2 men in business. They will be two separate types of interviews. And you will need to get those finished by, I think it's July 25th, and digitally Dropbox those back to me. And then we will compile them, me and the TA, we will compile them for the class to do a thematic analysis, if you will, on some of the responses from our people in business. Now, I would ask that you really find business people. So even though we have a lot of talented, hardworking people who are waitresses, that might not be the best candidate for these interviews. So look for somebody who is really doing something in business. You may not know these people, but maybe your parents do, your step-parents, your guardians, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, friends of your parents, you know, that kind of thing. Ask them if they would mind forwarding the email interview on to other people. I'm trying to make it brief, so I'll try to make it easy for everybody to complete. I think that that should do it for now. I'm sure that you'll have other questions. You can email your questions to me. I may not respond directly to your email because there'll be 3 other people asking me the same thing. So look for your response maybe in announcements. Feel free to contact me anytime. Remember, you need to do all of this work. This is preliminary work. You're doing this before our class meeting, which is on the 8th, and you will bring it to me at the beginning of class so I can look over it during class time. Keep a copy for yourself because you're going to need to refer to it when we're in class. When you look at the course timeline, I want you to know that the part of the course timeline that goes from August 8th, basically the weekend, just is a projected sort of time frame for discussing the articles and chapters that you have already read. Okay, well, that's it for now, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in August, and maybe you'll see another YouTube video from me very soon. Thank you for your time.